All right, Ainsley, more and more hospitals are going digital, but is it making life easier and things easier and better? Let's take a look at the growing numbers. As of 2015, at least 8 in 10 hospitals use some form of electronic health records, but it turns out only a third of those hospitals can share patients' data with each other. Here to explain what's going on is Dr. Richard Schulzer. He is a vascular surgeon with Columbia Presbyterian. Doctor, this was supposed to be a great cutting-edge idea. Is it working out?
It is making progress, certainly, but it's not quite the end-all, be-all that we originally had thought it was going to be.
Why?
So there's good points and there's bad points to it right now. Certainly, as a vascular surgeon, it is wonderful that a patient comes into the emergency room. I can review their CAT scan. I can review their medical records if they are within my hospital. There are also some downsides to it. It takes 9 times as much time in order for me to point and click on the computer, so I'm not facing the patient as much as I used to be facing. And the hospitals don't communicate with each other in terms of their electronic medical records. Even some inpatient and outpatient records don't communicate with each other.
Why would NYU, if you're in New York City, why would NYU and Columbia Presbyterian or any two hospitals not want to communicate with each other?
It comes back to the electronic medical record systems themselves, that they're proprietary organizations, that they're multi-billion-dollar institutions that don't want to have that issue of communicating and showing what they are storing. There's also the concern about patient health records in terms of their privacy, and so they are keeping everything within instead of trying to explore ways where an Android phone can communicate with an iPhone phone. They're a little bit more weary of having those communications.
You know, we did want to have somewhere you could FaceTime with me, so if I'm in a smaller community and I wanted to get access to a cutting-edge doctor like you in New York City, there'll be, in theory, we were supposed to be able to interact with each other. Is that happening?
No. FaceTime is not part of the HIPAA organization, so certainly you cannot relay any type of privileged health information over that scenario.
So you're not suggesting that we go back to manila folders with paper and just handing it around when I change doctors, I pick up my records or you send them over? You're not suggesting we go backwards?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So
there were a lot of handwriting issues. There were a lot of problems with.
No kidding.
Certainly, the current technology that we have, there are documented incidents where a lady is given a prescription for Flow Max, which is a prostate medication, instead of Flonase, just because of a point-and-click issue, and all of a sudden she shows up to the emergency room with having reactions to the Flow Max. We need to move more toward a dictation type of format, and the electronic medical records really need to be able to communicate better with each other.
Right, and do you think anything's going to change about this? I mean, is it going to take for Washington to force hospitals to talk to each other? Is it going to have to come from the federal government?
Most likely. This came from Washington in the first place. This was part of Barack Obama's 2009 addresses, where he was saying that he wanted to make sure that every patient's medical records were part of it, were online within 5 years.
Right.
So certainly if this began in Washington, it needs to continue through Washington.
That would help too. We also want to make sure our medical records don't end up in People magazine. So
exactly.
Security is always an issue. Doctor, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. And I know you get a full day of patients.